What's up and welcome in people to What's Up TV, where today we are back for the club rooms for all of our members to get off their chest everything that they need to and to answer any of your questions. I'll be here with you guys for the next hour or so, breaking down the latest news, the result from the Dolphins, the impact of the injury updates. We've got a cloud of injuries upon our head. A lot to discuss, as well as one of our development players moving on next year as well. So we'll get into that very shortly. I want to welcome in all the channel members this evening. It is a members only show, and so everyone that's in here is obviously a member. We want to welcome in Jazz, our moderator and faithful. Carl, welcome in, my friend. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Nick Hume, hey man, yep. Nick, appreciate your comments around what's happening. With a lot, we're going to break that down as well. The club's decisions to now you're looking at what way are they moving with the wing position? What are they going to do about it? We're going to get into that very, very shortly. Team Mackie, my man, good to see you, my friend. Team Mackie saying we've gone from top 4 hopes to just hanging into the top 8 now. Damn, those injuries. There are a few injuries to break down. Kia ora e te wā's whānau. Yes, welcome in, Sean Smith. And everyone that comes in, yeah, welcome in. Where should we start? I think, firstly, let's start with well, it's all a bit sad news at the moment, but one of our own, Ed Kosi, moving on to the Rabbitohs next year, 2026, on a 2-year deal. Let's reflect on Ed's time here at the Warriors. Look, it's one that's been in the system. I remember Ed maybe from 2022, and he had his struggles. I think he was part of the 72. Was it 72-6? It was one of the really low points as a fan against the Storm. And he had some troubles, but under Webby, I felt he made a strong comeback. His confidence increased. Look at 2023, the run he had there. I think he played left and right wing until he got injured at Magic Round against the Panthers, going in for a tackle against Stephen Crichton at that time. He was, looking really, really good. And then from that moment, I suppose you could argue since RTS got signed and the development of other players, Ed kind of lost his spot, should we say, and kind of coming in and out of the squad, hasn't had the most consistent of performances. You compare likewise to someone like a Tane Tuopiki, that when he came in, made immediate impact. And at times Ed had come in and was hot and cold, or wasn't up for the job. And I think, was it the Roosters last year? He was part of maybe 2 or 3 bad reads, and we were down by 24-6 or something. I can't remember. So he's kind of been put in some tricky spots and hasn't, I suppose, been successful. Hasn't, should we say, developed or progressed, gone up a step to winning a spot. And yeah, it's a shame because I rate the talent of Ed Kosi. I rate the talent of the kid. It just hasn't seemed to progress from that point. And the relationship with the club and its wingers, when the wingers don't perform, they get a hell of a beating. Even at times when it's not their fault, and when it's at times when it is, the majority of the fan base will blame the winger, and he's been on the end of a lot of those, while at the same time not performing. But I still rate him as a talent. Will he be successful at Rabbitohs? Who knows? Will he fall into that trap of a development type player going over to Australia and then fading away, kind of a we've seen a few of our boys go over. Remember the Kepu twins? They were all the talk. We haven't heard a bar since then. I hope that Ed can get a starting spot. I'd love to see his true potential. I just don't think that it was going to happen here, and that was evident by the way the club used him and from his performances. But we wish Ed, me personally, I wish Ed all the best, man. I really, really do. I've got a soft spot for him, and I just hope that he is successful. Let's just get into some comments about Ed here while we are here, people. Yeah, all the best to the brother Ed. Team Mickey saying, from packing shelves to being in the NRL, Ed has done well, but he joins the Bunnies to help their New South Wales Cup side improve, in my honest opinion. Yeah, and that might be his role. What a story to packing shelves to NRL. That's a great, great positive, isn't it? I'm still super positive. This season will still be a massive success too. The top six are faltering too. Look at the Panthers, Bulldogs. Shows anyone can beat anyone. It could be. It just feels as though, Nick, that we are on the decline. Will we regret letting him go like we normally do? And we must, like Eremia and Carly Moore. Well, I think that's the case, isn't it? Sol, good to see you, my friend. Whale Rider, sorry, didn't call you out there. Welcome in, Whale Rider, as well. MP, Laban has apparently broken his leg from a legal tackle. Yeah, we'll get into that as well. That is. Just lastly, this one, knowing the Rabbitohs, Ed will probably go over there and get a season-ending injury. I hope so. I hope so. Well, that came out so wrong. I hope he doesn't. I wish, yeah, like this. I wish we wish Ed all the best at Souths. Bang on. Yeah. Okay. Let's go now to Laban. Let me know in the chat, guys, what do you think? Laban has got sounds like I've heard reports a 6-week injury, fractured leg or something like that, directly from intentional foul play. Kalfusi has done that. He's a culprit of it. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had time. This isn't a mitigating circumstances where he just dropped off the leg. He went in and intentionally tried to harm the leg. For me, this is a minimum 4-week ban for Kalfusi. I know a lot of others would like a 6-week to match the injury time that Laban is out. What is your guys' thoughts on this decision? 2 weeks, is that fair? Is that taking the piss? You know what I mean? What do you guys think the NRL done? Is that fair enough? And Team Mackie confirming a broken leg means he will be done for the season. And Team Mackie coming in and saying Kalfusi should be out for the season, and so should the Penrith trainer. Yeah. Well, I think the Penrith trainer, I don't know if the report was correct, but he sounded as though he's been banned for the rest of the year. Tahi, good to see you, my friend. Sean Smith saying 2 week suspension is a joke. In my opinion, Kalfusi should be out as long as Laban is. So, yes. So, probably would say a rest of the season. Oh, the chances of Panthers. Hey, welcome in, Hunter. The Panthers trainer got 4. Yeah. It isn't fair. It really isn't fair. I hate dirty stuff, especially when done on purpose. Yeah, I agree. Yep. And Jazz here, I think that makes sense what you're saying there, Jazz. 6 week, the guy is a serial offender. Trainer 5-week suspension. Okay. Mikey F, welcome in, channel member Mikey F. Evening, Levan. Yeah, got a feel for young Laban. Having an outstanding season for us so far. Having his season ended like that has to suck, but wish him all the best in recovery. It is. Let's just quickly talk about Laban. I think he was having a really, really solid season. He's starting to put together some of his better work, more consistent. He's having a much more impact on the attacking part of the game. You started to notice that. I mean, his progression isn't as quick as like a Lecker He's more of a slow burn, I think, but would have been. Oh, it's not. I'm acting like his career's over, but without the injury, I think he would have been just continuing to be consistent, and I think he eventually will be over a long period of time, which is what I'm hoping that he'll be that type of player where he does the consistent. The 1% is kind of a not like. I mean, Mannering had an elite engine, but Mannering was always just that consistent worker type. I think Laban has more in him in terms of flair and probably attack. You want to see him taking good running lines, those types of things. But I think he's a slow burn. But I think he'll be a consistent over that long period of time. T-Mac is saying before the end of the show, the trainer will have 6 weeks. Wow, okay, so that will probably is that they go to judiciary. Yeah. 2 weeks is unfair. It should be 5+ at least, and he should give a formal apology. See, I highly respect this because, like what Jazz was saying, Kaufusi has had a history of this, a long history of high shots, of crushes, of hip drops. So this isn't new for him. The fact that there's no carryover or each offense, it almost seems like it's a new playing field for serial offenders. It feels as though he should be getting a minimum 6 weeks, in my opinion. I think Laban is that 80-minute workhorse, while Lecker is the strike force. Was impressed by Eddie as well. Yeah, we'll talk a bit about Eddie as well. I really enjoyed his game. Yeah, Laban. Well, yeah, he'll be that grind. He'll be that grinded out style back row. But you're looking at Lecker, how they are using him as an 80-minute. But I agree with the sense that he should be used more as a strike force type back row. Whereas Laban will be your grinded out style. He did so. He really did have a good one. Some good runs in there. What makes losing Laban hurt even more is the fact that injury list is creeping towards a team list. Yeah, it is. It's starting to get a bit tricky now, isn't it? And this is the kind of drop off that we're seeing now. It's kind of taking the fun out of the season, should I say, with all these injuries starting to pop up. At the same time, I think there's an opportunity there, as Tahi's saying, who's stepping up. Definitely Eddie Yeramia is next in line, I'd say. We need another back rower type. I'd love to see him being used in a back row position. I didn't mind his work, actually, when he was coming through the middle. I thought he did his job. He looks like a kind of a quiet worker, do his job, Eddie. When you're reading body language-wise, he doesn't scream, I'm going to dominate, I'm going to tear it up, kind of like a Demetrix, more of an animated, like wanting to be a tough, not wanting to be, but providing a tough presence. Eddie seems like that elusive, hard worker type, but if you underestimate him, he'll find the try line. That's the kind of impression I get about him. So I like that, unassuming, and it looks like a good worker. And he's been that 18th man for so long. It's credit to him to finally get a debut and his patience. Those that are patient are usually coming with really good work rate. I think of a Tanner Smith coming in. He hasn't really dipped in terms of his performances. His performances are maintained. So I expect similar from Eddie, where it looks consistent majority of the time. There's no highs, there's no lows with a lot of these guys coming in. So that's what I think Eddie will do a good. Yep, and Mackie there with it. They're saying, feel sorry for Laban. Yeah, he was just hitting his straps, progressing well. By the way, if it was JH, yep. JWH took out Laban like that. How long do you think JWH would get known as a repeat? Yeah, I do agree with you, man. I do agree with you. The PGA Tour. Jose mixing up with a bit of golf. Maybe Kalis gets the call up. It could be. It could be. I know there's a lot of high praise for Kalis. Look, it's starting to get really tricky now. I'm really interested to see who actually came out of that game. I mean, Lecker looked. I don't know what that was, and there's nothing confirmed about him. I imagine he's fine, but we're going to look at who comes back in soon. Is Dimitri? How far after Dimitri? Rocco Berry, is he far away? He probably is. Fish is a little bit far away, so it's just one of those things, isn't it? Marbles, love it, love it. Classic NRL. Give the trainer like 4 to 6 weeks, because what does that impact? With absolutely nothing. But the guy who injures another player gets 2 weeks. That doesn't seem right to me. Yeah, yeah, yep. He might. It might just. It might just. It might have to come a reality. Yes, agree with this, Hunter. 2 weeks is nothing, isn't it? It really is. It really is. The Marbles and the '84 Lakers. Very nice, Hosea. I'm not saying he is an exact copy, but Eddie reminds me of a young Simon Mannery. Yeah, that's a good little. It's good to have those some of those characteristics put on people, because that means if you're emulating a young Simon Mannery, that means you must have a good work ethic. It means you must have good habits, which is what I thought. Um, my first thought on EIT was that his rat's tail mullet was perfect for rugby league. Yeah. Hey, you gotta almost have to have a rat's tail these days, isn't it? Egan is back. Yeah, so yeah, good great point from Nick. Egan is back. Would likely like to see Healy off the bench for the rest of the season. Brings the energy we need to get that spark. That's a good point. And just quickly in the chat, I just want to talk a little bit about the game on Saturday. Did you guys like the expansive kind of attack? I felt they were one. I think we were much more aggressive offensively, pushing the pass wide and trying to do new things. I mean, ultimately, I don't think we had the middle forwards to really punch through and make big impact. I thought Healy was really good. I thought he brought a lot of energy to his game. He would actually, I do agree with everyone. If you got Egan with Healy, just to get that balance right, Egan can lay a nice platform, getting a structure going, and then Healy can be that impact to get the ruck going if we do slow down. I just wonder if Webby pulls a pin on it and says, yeah, we're going to go that way. And I would personally like to see that, especially if you've got Tamati already playing in the halves. You have Tane and CNK on the field. That means you can swap fullbacks around and you can move players. You can move CNK actually into the halves if you need to. I think you could get away with it now playing a Healy from the bench. I think we need to go and test that and see how that would look. Yeah, I'd like to see him come on with Dimitri. Two guys can help the tempo. Yeah, I think Dimitri is really cementing that spot as a tempo guy. When you come off the bench, you remember when Jazz and Dill Walker used to come off and the tempo would just pick up a little. You saw Dill Walker would just pick the attack up and start to get the team moving forward, which is perfect time. We need more of those tide risers, sort of like Dimitri's been doing a lot better at that, I think. It's sometimes when you're getting it wrong when the not right type of impact is coming on to help the team. So I think there's a little bit of work to do in that space, but would love to see Healy. He could definitely be a part of that. Really testing our depth now. I think fans will have to accept the boys stepping up with limited time together are going to struggle, so the judgment can't be too harsh. Sean, this is a great point. The criticism for that team on the weekend was really tough, I felt. I think people really laid into it and blamed them for not icing out the game. I can get what people are saying with them dying. A lot of the conjecture was about them dying with the ball on the fifth and trying to be defensive. Look, they fought to the end, and if someone just kind of stepped out of the line and shut something down, they didn't commit. Lecker was lying on the ground. They allowed the Dolphins to continue attack, and you got to move up together. You could just saw they kind of quit and they'd run out by that point. But to say, a lot of blame fell on Tanner and Tamaite for not being attacking enough. or not trying to get a repeat set. Or I get that, but at the same time, to have a mix and match 4-pack, CNK in the centers and things moving around a lot. That's a bit of a harsh call, from my opinion, on the team. But I think we're just got to accept and feeling it, like we're feeling it, that look, top 4 slipping, Penrith are definitely going to take that spot, or even Broncos or whatever. And we need to just make sure that we secure a top 8 finish. I think that's where the team's at. The current team is so injury riddled that it's not even a top 4 team on paper, let alone top 4 team in reality. So we will probably drop out. But I just want to see us get back to some winning ways. I thought we played a hell of a game to try and fight to get into that game and to get that lead back. And credit to them, they brought it back, but to the Dolphins. But there's some positives there. I did like some of the attacking movements. I did like some of the energy. So I would like to just see where that goes furthermore. Yeah, when we attacked directly, the Dolphins were in trouble. Yeah. Healy needs to learn to be a 13 so he can jump on the field with Egan. I had this crazy thought. Why couldn't you play Egan at lock and have Healy go to dummy half and then get Egan at first receiver and playing out the back? I feel like Egan, I don't know who I was watching. Was I watching Dills Walker, or I was watching someone? Oh, no, that's who I was watching. I was watching Cook. Who's that guy? Cook at the Dragons. And he had another guy playing dummy half. And Cook was just playing that lock role, that first receiver role, playing out the back. I was thinking, why couldn't we just have Healy come on and then Egan could push to the 13, play the first receiver role, because he knows all the parts that need to be doing in that spot. And then that would look kind of interesting, because Egan, I think, could still play at the line and still play deep into the line. I'm just thinking they should try that a little bit. I was thinking where we should try and play Healy and Egan specifically, like the Dill Walker role, where he's more of a ball playing lock, and see how that would go. I just want to try and experiment with it, because you can actually find some of these types of combos that might work and carry you through a final series. Not saying it's going to win your premiership, but it could actually get you somewhere. I just think that could be a combo that could work, Healy and Egan together. Something to think about. I thought Healy was good, but he needed to get off sooner. He got to a point where Jankin was catching him out. Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think Bunty needs to come in for Laban. Sure, he'll give you 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but Bunty, first 20 minutes means he can handle the grind. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Bunty. They've kind of really gone a different direction with it. But yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, I like Bunty still, man. I think he's just a solid pro that does what he does. He's not. We know his ceiling. Like, just put him in where we know he can fit in. Yeah. Jackson, go forward. I love Jackson, but sometimes he's just a little bit on there too long for mine. The game we were all waiting on like 12 rounds ago, now not so much. The depth is being tested for Licky, man. I was really I was pumped for when we played the Sharks. I'm like, yo, give me the Bulldogs next week. Now it's like, yeah. The NRL is just one of those competitions. Never get your things up too high. Now it's like, no, I don't want to play the Bulldogs anymore. In terms of Friday night of the game, we lack leadership, and I also think that Webby has no choice but to play Healy now because of all the concussions that Egan has taken. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, man. When Farnworth blew out his hammy, that some Dolphin has fans turned and gave me the dirty look. 5 games left, and all those teams are playing well. Dogs, Eels, Titans, Dragons, Manly. Yes, and the Eels, I think, are playing decent as well. Titans, look, the way they played against the Panthers, they're looking. That's how they should be playing based on their talent. Dragons again lifting, beating the Raiders. Manly as well. Well, they're hit and miss, but yep, get it. Yep, let's get in the 8 firstly, then we'll go from there. I think so. Yeah, it's something we could try. Yeah, Cook and Little. That's who you're talking about, Mackie. That's the. I was watching some of that game, thinking, why couldn't Egan just do that? And he's got the mind for it. He's got the mind for it, Egan. And that's a way of you actually keep an interchange and actually make Healy fit in. Oh well, if he does, you know where you heard it first. No, no, but I'm just thinking like we got to find some other solutions just to mix it up. Like we are really, and it's based really upon the fact that we are injury prone. Really are injury prone. Dom, good to see you, man. Yeah, and that's all, and that's what we're asking of him. We're asking Egan, look, Healy's going to play dummy half. You know the offense better than anyone because you played it with Sean, you played it with Metcalf, you played it with Tanner now, you played with Tamaiti. You just lead that team around. You call your spots, and it's another look to kind of give Clark a break, and then that allows Egan to just direct things. And he's got, like you say, he's got the halves experience. He knows what he's doing. This isn't too hard of a job for him, and it gets the halves, especially Tanner and Tamaiti, where the spots they want to get to get their specifically goal line attack. I'd say, but I for sure think Egan could do this role. Yeah. CHT back this week. Where does he fit? And do we stick with Tamaiti? It's a tough one. I liked what Tamaiti brought. He gives you a little bit more risk, I'd say. I think a lot of fans, some fans aren't so keen on that risk averseness but I think he's a bit more of attacking 5'8" than CHT. I had no major issue with him, probably barring a kicking game, but I think with Tanner now, it's almost flipped the kicking balance from when CHT and Metcalf were there. So, but even if Webby does go to CHT, I'm not sure if you hold Tamaiti. I would really try that Egan idea, and I like Tamaiti, but I'm trying to find solutions to trying to keep that go forward in the middle because we need it because we really don't have the forwards. If you could see that the Friday in the last 6 or 7 weeks, we haven't won the go forward battle much at all. I think since Barnett's gone and the injuries, we aren't winning that go forward battle. Like even Fisher Harris isn't that go forward type. He's a hard-working kind of defensive prop. But yardage wise, we aren't getting that go forward like we used to be with AFB and even with Barnett out. So I think we need to manufacture different ways of getting ruck speed and yardage, and that will probably be through Healy. But if CHT comes back, yeah, I could see him probably. I think Webby will go with CHT because that's his main 6. But I do like what I look at from Tamaiti. It's just something different. I feel they kept Bunty specifically to help the youngins coming through. Yeah, he's kind of moved into an advisory role, isn't he, Jez? He's kind of moved into that support guy. He's not really looked at as the next guy through the door, isn't he? Mathematical charts. Yeah, there is. There definitely is. That would be one of the biggest collapses, wouldn't it be, from 4th to out within 5 weeks? That would be crazy. I need to rain in Sydney this week. The mother of all floods. Doggies hate the way. Yeah, that was crazy. I couldn't believe that scoreline. But yeah, man, if we could, that would be great. I would stick with Boyd and TMN for this week, and then bring in CHT. Yeah, that could be a good option. I just think I would like that, but I think Webby's going to go back to CHT for some reason. I have no idea why, but yeah, he's going to go do that. But in my Ed Kosi would have followed him on a stretcher. Yeah, man. I know what you mean, Dom. I really do know what you mean. Hey, evening, Tans. Hope you've been well. If Tim and Boyd do well, then yes. Yeah, he looked good. I really do like. Yeah, the little kicks in the corner were good, different variety. I like that style. Um, yeah, I think. Well, we need. I think we need probably 2 or 3 more wins. Yeah, you're probably right, Tay. Um, it's looking tougher and tougher, but we can't afford to like. What's this? The second loss? We can't afford to get 3. We need a. Well, most likely to lose this game as well. The way I see the refs officiating the Dogs games, it's like automatically they need the Dogs in there. So I don't think we'll get any 50-50s as such, but um, we need to find a way to get on the scoreboard. Even if it isn't, then for this week, I'm like again, I'd like to see just Healy off the bench just to see what that looks like, and if we could do that for the next 5 games and see what can come of it. It's like we're so injury prone at the moment that you got to find new combos and ways of getting yardage and momentum. But that's just the nature of the comp right now. I like what I saw from Dallin. I think that's a little boost in confidence. Like we said, we've all discussed replacing Dallin, but I think Webby's going to roll with him. So great to see him get 2 tries to do some defensive work. Let's keep him going. Tane looked great, despite I'd probably say he didn't have a massive total impact. I thought the Dolphins did well to shut him out. On a drier track, I think he could do even better. CNK looks banged up. We have to wait and see what the result of that is. Catewell working hard again. He looks banged up too. Murata's movements on the edge aren't the greatest at times. His lateral movements. Jackson Ford just a little bit on there too long sometimes. Has some great moments, but then a little bit too long. RTS doing really well. Tanner Boyd, I think I've got an idea of Tanner as a player. I think what he's showing us is what he is, which doesn't excite me to say he will be a long-term prospect, but he's doing his job. I really appreciated him as knocking down those conversions to keep us like in that game. So, and they were tough conversions. I thought he nailed them. So there's some benefits to his game. He brings an extra 2 points, 2 to 4 points per game with him when you play him. So look, there's a lot of good things happening. And what I'm trying to say is I think we just need to latch on to the good that's happening and see if that can take us to win another 2 or 3 games. I would be really disappointed if we didn't win another game the rest of this season and barely make the 8 or get knocked into 9th. That would be a massive disheartening for the early work this team has done. People say we're not a top 4 team. All good. There's no problem with that. But to not be in the 8 for being one of the most consistent teams throughout would be disheartening for me. So, look, this team, no matter what happens, I think Webby has to manufacture some yardage because he hasn't got the impact he's going to need for the next couple of weeks, and he needs to get some defensive resiliency around the middle again. We're just leaking too much through the middle. Teams are getting 60 to 70 meters per set, and teams are going for that grinded out style to try and beat us at our own game. They think that's the best way to break down the Warriors. The Titans did it. The Dolphins kind of did it too through the kicking game of Katoa. You got a Matt Burton this weekend you got to come up against. He's going to kick the air out of the ball with some tricky ones. You think about all the halves we're coming up against: Mitchell Moses, Jaden Campbell again, DCE, all those guys or whoever they're playing. They're going to kick the air out of the ball. So we need to be able to find ways. If we can't grind it out, we got to find ways to grind it out. You know what I mean? Let me hit the chat anyway. Yeah, 2 wins to stay in the 8, but that can be quite difficult, can it? CNK looks like he's on one leg. Then it's really, really tough right now. We had the Dogs that won last year. The late hit on TMM, which didn't get called. Yep. Appreciate that. Yeah, hit that like, people. 77 of you guys here. Appreciate everyone sitting in here. Just if you can, wherever you are, just hit that like. Appreciate it. That was not a bad idea, Jess. Who's our worst trainer? Get them to do it and sacrifice themselves for the rest of the year. We might need one of those ones. Oh, let's go. DDZ was brilliant and played like it was his last game. Yeah, I think so. Yep. And times we got to build on this confidence. We just have to like. We need him as confident as we can. Missing Lukey Matt. Yeah, you can see the X factor now. You're seeing Tanner Boyd and how just kind of in the box he is as a game managing half. You're thinking, man, a Luke Metcalf would be what we need to get us an X factor try. We like Lecker has been providing an X factor try every week, and that's to get us over the line. But you probably need 2 or 3 of those a game. We're just not a high scoring team this season. If you look at this is probably the biggest alarming, not alarming step, but a reflection of us as an attacking team. If you look at all the top 8 teams from points differential, we are probably one of the lowest. I think, barring with the Sharks. Sharks probably above us now. So we might be in 8th position. So if it was based on points differential, we would probably be 8th or 9th, which is probably a fair reflection ultimately of that. We're just not a high scoring volume team. And whether that's the attacking structures or not having enough X factor or etc. It's starting to really be evident. And I think those teams now, if we're tired on points, teams are going to be surpassing us because they've built up, they have such more potent attack. Yeah, and it's the with this one was Webby. I knew his game. He's thinking I need to get 2 interchanges out of Jackson Ford. And so he pushed Jackson to 60 minutes, I think it was. But he's like, no, I need to get, because I don't have the firepower that he needs off the bench. It was almost like he was putting him through, making him do longer to save energy. He was doing the work of 2 men, I think, pretty much. That was what Webby was trying to do. One guy Webby needs to give more minutes was Lussick. He was hustling out there in the short time he was out there. Yeah, man, I would like to see more of Lussick. Sure. EIT should play middle full time. He's a big body, someone we need in the middle. Thames, you're welcome in, and I'm looking forward to EIT. I think he'll get more game time. Yeah, he looks on the gear, isn't he? Say get Stace out there. Stace, take one for the team, man. The BFF. My concern this week is defensively. I'm actually really worried this week about a bit of blowout considering the injuries we have and lack of leadership on the field, sides and middles. Yeah, it's funny. I think the only blowout we won ahead was the Raiders. I'm trying to think who all the teams that really blew us up this year. Let me just go have a quick look. So Raiders beat us 30. Oh, the Storm. So Raiders 30-8. That's probably a blowout. 42-14. Storm. Panthers 28-18. That's not a super blowout. But I think what you might be saying, Chris, is that it might be inevitable that this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. If you're going to give it to the team, that they're still being resilient enough to keep these games tight. But I see what you're saying. I don't know. I feel that the Bulldogs are on fumes maybe a little bit too. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to find their mojo again, you know. It might neutralize things. But yeah, I mean that sentiment feels like that's constantly on edge, doesn't it? You're feeling as though something's got to give. We'll see the team lineup and really, have a look at it. feel what you guys are saying. What type of lineup will we have? I'm guessing Tuopiki, DWZ, Pompey, CNK, RTS, T-Man Boy, Clark, Capewell, Halasima, Marata, Egan, Bunty. That would be a good one. Bench, Healy, Vaimaunga, EIT, TSS. Did Jacko Ford get an injury? Is that why he's out for you, Mackie? I can't remember. Healy, Vaimaunga, EIT, TSS. I just think Jacko Ford is the teacher's pet. I forgot Ford. All good. Yeah, I just think. But yeah, I think EIT stays in for Laban for sure. TSS, Healy Vaimonga would be great. If CHT's back, I think CHT finds his way in there. Marata Egan Bunty could work. I just don't trust Marata, and I respect Bunty, but I kind of don't trust him now that he's been just pure cup. But you probably put Marata Egan forward in there. But yeah, no, that's a good. I think that's probably roughly close to what things are. We are way too negative as a fan base. Always going to have bumpy patches with it in our youth, and our side will be fine come finals time. Son Young, man, this is a really cool comment, and great that you pointed up. It does turn dark, doesn't it? The fan base. You know, I read a lot of places and comments, and it's like, man, it is the end of the world for some. This team, look, it's overachieved from what was expected, and it's credit to Webby, all those things I've said multiple times. And look, we're from, when you get in the top four, like, okay, we're here now, then the expectations do change. You want to do that as a fan because you want to, obviously win, but then you kind of get a little bit of injuries, and you things change. Expectations should change, and we start to view the season holistically and say, wow, for me, the biggest takeaways from this year will be, look, the style of footy still remains consistent. Despite what people say, it's still a top four footy side with what Webby's been able to do with it. You had the likes of Metcalf playing real well. You got Fish. I think Fish's impact's been there, but probably not of late. Without a Barnett, you see the value of a Barnett. The other factor I'd probably add in there is the youth. The youth have come on leaps and bounds this year. Like, that's probably been the highlight of the year, is seeing Aleka, Dimitrik, Laban. That's been the true sign of the club's progress, to see that this year. And the depth of squad with the Tanner Boyd and all the others that have been around to make this team viable for the 8. So I think there's a lot of that once you take into account the holistic view of the whole season and look back on it. The club have done well to do a lot of those things, but yeah, it is what it is. we're going to throw us a Jet Cleary in our time. I'm not too sure, man. Is Vaimonga back this week? I'm not too sure, actually. Let's just have a look at Warriors Kiwi. Warriors.Kiwi. Is there any update on the... Let's check the news. Trying to think where the injury report is. So this was 6 days ago. It's got shoulder Rockaberry around 24, Wade Egan 23, Fisher Harris 24. Chanel is due back this week, 23. Leatoa 24. So that was a late. Anyone got any updates on Dimitrik for me, please? I can't see it. If you got anything in the chat, I'll read it now. Yeah, man. Yeah. I like this theory from Team Eki that putting in Jet Cleary will kind of make us win games because the media will push the Cleary brothers as one of their hot topics. I remember him saying that last week. Bulldogs might underestimate our team like the Panthers did last year, severely under strength, but the boys got the job done. I think they'll want to lift from that performance. I'm sure Serraldo will get them up for it. Serraldo's had a bit of success as well against Webby recently. Last year he got the double on us. Probably one you probably say you didn't feel he deserved, but they have come up a little bit. I'd say that they would get over us based on where we're at, but fingers crossed. I agree. Yeah, Dom's probably right about this. And that's where I think we just got to move maybe even a TSS or someone into that starting role. They're a big engine team. Yeah, they got a bit of value in them. Hopefully it keeps raining there, man. Yeah, the junior's improving week to week. Licker doing too many minutes for his age. He was cramped in gas. This one with Dom, I do agree with this. But again, the team has kind of fallen. Like Licker, the way they used Licker to start the season, I thought was perfect, an impact guy. But then injuries came, especially with, I think it was Barnett and Kate Well was out with Origins. Licker would actually playing 80. And it's great that he's doing that, but you're looking at his body now is just sort of taking its toll, isn't it? But he's just got that youthful energy, Dom, when you're younger and, we were younger, we could do whatever, and we wake up the next day and our bodies wouldn't feel that pain. But yeah, I think he's starting to feel a little bit, but you're just hoping. The thing I would love to do is just freshen him up a bit. So you might go with, if you can get a few forwards back. I just think, based on our forward thing, we just said to him, mate, you're playing 80 every week, But yeah, you'd love to see him being used off the bench a bit more. What's happened to Tom Harley? Highly touted in 23, vanished in 25. Yeah, Tom is just. I haven't. There probably others in the chat that had a good idea on what's happened. Anyone in the chat got anything on Dimitrik? I can't give you guys any answers on what's happened there. I'm looking at an old report, but there's nothing updated as such. Maybe we'll get some more info tomorrow. But yeah, Tom's just has dropped off, and I've loved Tom. I've respected Tom as well. Wasta with a 99. Thank you very much, Wasta. Appreciate you, man. And shout out to Wasta, guys. Please follow Wasta on Instagram. If you got your Instagram open right now, please give him a follow. Wasta has done a really cool post of Ed and the Ed Kosi Appreciation Society, and respect to Wasta, and it's great to see your love for Ed, and I've appreciated Ed, and he's been given a rough time, but that was a cool little post you put up of Ed, bro. I really enjoyed seeing that. Thank you for the 99 cents, man. We appreciate it. It's so kind of you to do that. Please go follow Wasta, please, on Instagram. That'd be very kind of you all. No problem, man. The guy's got to go Skyping, messaging with the bro. GF. The GF's more important than me, man. I understand it. If she's messaging you, bro, you got to get in that, man. Don't worry about Warriors for now. Come back tomorrow night, but take care of the GF. Get on that message. Send those lovely messages. Do the love hearts. Make sure you're giving the likes and really, really sitting in on that messages, man, on the Skype. It's very important. Very, very important. And I know that because, you got to really lock in on that chat, man. With your girlfriend, your wife, you can't let a few slip. If you let a few slip and you forget the message and you don't follow the message properly, it comes back to bite you when you get home from work, or, you know what I mean? So make sure you really hone in on that chat, brother. Yeah, to pull this, like if we go to the Dogs and pull that out of the hat, I mean, maybe we deserve to be in the top 4, but we need to get a few more dubs. I wouldn't put it past this team. The way we'd be like, I loved specifically in the first half of the season, this team would really, really fight, and I think they had the energy and manpower to do it at the time. But I feel the defense has obviously dropped off a little bit more. You can tell. I mean, without Tane saving multiple tries, I even said Tane cat and moused his way to he gave Farnsworth so much time to run that he got a hamstring. So I credit that to Tane that he actually allowed, instead of shutting down Farnsworth early and then forcing a pass out of him um, to the hammer, he actually cat and mouse Farnsworth so that he took those extra runs and caused his hamstring to blow out. So, but without Tane, honestly, and a few we got lucky with the bounce of the ball off of it was Nikorima last week. We've been so lucky, but that I missed the defensive resiliency isn't quite there as what it was at the start of the year. But if we pull one out again, it credits to this team. This team has turned so many close games into victories. It does seem like your runs lucks out sometimes, doesn't it? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Thanks, Tahi. We'll wait to see what Dimitrik's got, man. Maybe we'll have to really find out. Yeah, EIT could spell liquor down the stretch. Yeah, I would like to see that, T Mackie. I think EIT is one that you will. I would give him actually the rest of the season. I know that sounds crazy, but if people came back in, but I want to see what he's got. I think there's a player there, but I just want to see what it looks like. And yeah, very hard for Ali to crack first grade. Would love him to lift form and bust through, even only for injury cover. Yeah, and the Rastafari, yeah, man. I don't want to act like our season's done, but put yourself in McFadden's shoes. Who or what positions in your hit list for next year? It's got to be wings, man. This is the point I forgot to, talk about with Ed leaving. Is that obviously they've pushed Ed on. But look, RTS is going to be done in a year. Dallin, look, you probably want to look past him and move into the next phase. But who is the club earmarked? They haven't really said yet. Seal Carley's going to be the guy. We're assuming as fans that Seal Carley's going to be the guy. We want him to be, but he's going to need 50 games to get under his belt to really get, and he needs to be the man. That's the wing player for our team. But the club need to recruit, and then Morgan Harper's not the answer. Seti 2's obviously gone and come back. That doesn't speak like confidence to me. We need to go and recruit a solid winger, an experienced rugby league winger. You probably someone in the mold of a Jesse Arthurs type, where you could play him at centre, you could play him at wing, you can be fullback cover. That's always a good type to have, or an out and out speed winger, Alafai Camperera, or a speed man, because people want speed on that edge. That's another option. But yeah, the club need to address the wing position massively. I used to ICQ with the girl GF back in the day. Don't know if this was discussed, but CNK needs to get more involved at centre. Yeah, he probably needs to find himself a bit more for sure. And look, he's not the out and out centre that we want. Leotoa has been injured. Berry, I just can't trust his body. I'll probably just, if it was me personally, I'd just say, bro, go rest up. Centre's another area where I'm like, love Pompey, but like, do we want to get an out and out strike centre? That's another one where I'm thinking, man, we probably, even with Leotoa, say Berry isn't, MGT's gone now. Berry's, I don't trust his body right now to say he's going to be, do you get an upgrade over Pompey? What does that look like? Is there someone on the market that you could get? That's kind of another area that we need to look at, Sun Yung. This game is going to be a telling point for our season. If we are to lose, which I hope is not the case, potentially 3 teams can take over us this weekend if they all win. Yeah, man, it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's going to be one of those tough ones because just away to the Bulldogs, they're in a lot of, I think they're getting a lot of favor with with just the media, the referees, all those things. I just don't think we're going to get much 50-50s. I don't think we've got the team right now to deal with that kind of style. But if we pulled out a win for this week, it would pretty much cement us to be, top 4, or top 6 or 8, whatever it is. But we wouldn't, you can't keep saying, "Oh, we're not gonna win the Bulldogs, and we'll wait till the next one, and then you lose the next one." Like, we're just gonna, you have to go in and try and win these games. Every game you got to go in and try and actually win it. Our points for and against work against us. You simply just have to win this weekend just to stand. We have to. We really do have to. AKP and Top Sipley would be my 2 targets in the off season. Yeah, man, that's another one. That's another one. You get a Sammy Stone Street would be a great one. You could bring him in, be a mate with Healy. Kind of in a Metcalf. They've probably got relationships there. Apparently, we are looking externally for. Well, that's great. I think that's a genuine. We have to take that seriously. What we want to do, and I'd say a pretty young one, probably in the 24, 25 range, one that you could build for the next couple of years with. A Will Warbrick would be fantastic. A Will Warbrick would be, and we haven't had an aerial threat tall winger in a while, haven't we? So you're thinking a Will Warbrick on a crossfield bomb? That would be, I definitely like a Will Warbrick. Yeah, I agree with this one. Add 5 ins and 10 kilos on Kalani going. Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it, Dom? Reminder, we weren't expecting fish, so here's hoping that they have a plan. You never know, eh? There could be a name drop. There could be a drop at any point. Yeah, that was a good one. The fish one was a massive surprise to everyone. But look, Kosi going out doesn't change a lot of their money, right? For the fish one though, you had to have $1 million going out to get $1 million, bet 700K back in or whatever it was. So it doesn't look like we're moving many people on that are on high money. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a big target coming in, so to say. This is where I'd love to see salary caps and see where the money's moving, so we could probably say, "Oh, hey, we've got $1 million in bank." The club, I reckon, are going to sign them. It's hard to say with this stuff, but so yeah, Jesse was with us. Yeah, I just like that Jesse type. I really rate Jesse. The Fatilofa is, he is the one I think that a torpy type. You do need a strike center, and if you think of some of our best centers, they have that strike ability in them. Brent Tate, Ropo was good too. Had his abilities. Ropo was a great setup guy. Great setup. I mean, a lot of Manu scored a lot of his tries off Ropo, just setting him up. A lot of that kind of an actual. You need some centers with a bit of speed, and I love Pomps, but if you really want to kick on and take the comp by storm, you got to score points. You can't just defend. And I love Webby's philosophy on defense, but you got to be able to score points, man. My mates thought I was cray-cray, but I thought Cappy should have had a serious look at the Fox when he was getting punted from the Dogs. Maybe push for the brickiest with eyes. Fox would have, again, Fox actually, I think Fox doesn't get his credit enough. He's actually a very good system winger. You don't play if you're not a good system winger. So his pedigree actually would tell you he's just got the off field and he probably would suit the culture here or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But bang on, I actually don't think that's a crazy idea. Don't actually, because I actually think, Jez, that he actually would have fit what we would have liked to have done. Don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that he couldn't have fit in there. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, Jay Arthurs would have. It's not Jesse Arthurs as such, but it's that type of mold of a player. I do like that type of mold. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Give him a little break. He is a Queenslander. Yeah, he is a Queenslander. Camperero would be good. Look, Webby can, if he can work miracles with halves and like, he can get these wingers in tune as well. Foss, yeah, we haven't had it since Foss days, really, an aerial threat. Yeah, who's that one? I'm trying to think. Ask Richard for his son Jed. He's not that good, but he kind of runs like Jason Nightingale. Yeah, the old Nightingale. Yeah, there's probably money there. There's probably money there, but I would love to see the club splash a bit of coin on an outside back. Unless you're super certain that you can bring in your development like a Siokali and you're going to bet and you're backing for a good 2-3 years. Otherwise, go and buy someone that's done it, been there and done it. Well, that maybe Nick, that's actually a really good point. That might be speaking to the fact that he knows he's not on the picking order anymore, and maybe there's someone coming in. Bro, Nick Minute tomorrow we get a drop. Welcome in Xavier Coates. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Ah, man, that'd be something like that would be insane. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Dane. I actually like Dane. I really do like Dane. Just it's the time. It's the contract issue. It'd be the contract. He'll want 3 years, and just don't know if we can give him 3 years personally. Dante, welcome in, man. Why don't we recruit a NZ Sevens player? Storm seem to love doing that. Yeah, I don't know why we haven't tapped into that market as much. Yeah. Oh, Karapani is a good one. Yeah, I like him too. But who knows what Seal Kali could bring? Who really knows until you try him? That's the other argument, isn't it? You got to get these guys an opportunity. Is there any concern with Metcalf's contract? It's been quite since he got injured, and from what we've seen recently, we need him to compete for a premiership. Well, I think the club will put the money down from. They have to. I don't think there's anything out there that screams like. I think halves are pretty much going to be stockpiled until they can no longer be stockpiled. And for what it is, I think Metcalf's the best fit we've got right now moving forward. And you're banking on him staying healthy. Just call it what it is. He's probably played a season out of 3, maybe a season and a bit. So he's probably played 26 games out of a potential 64, is it, or 72? Not sure what the number. My math isn't very good. Which doesn't speak like great, but if these injuries can settle down, is he the game managing half? Not right now. He's an explosive, creative half. That's a lot of his game, but can he develop the mindset of a Sean Johnson to, all that type of stuff? That's the big question to be asked. But I think the club backs him and sorts his contract out this off season. Once maybe they figure out what, the moving pieces, they bring in a winger and they say, hey, we've got 800K here a year for 4 years. Do you want to, and then they drop it on him. Oh, Dane boy, yeah, Dane just re-signed. Okay. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Yeah, it's starting to really pick up, isn't it? In our media, that's a real good one. If going to bring a Seal Cully, we need a good center. Yeah, that's Dom. You're speaking my language. You need a center that can set up. That can really set up an outside winger. Do the little things. Look at Pompey in the weekend. The difference between him and CNK. pump with just those nice tap-ons, setup work for DWZ. Those are the types of things you need, and you need a bit of footwork. Yeah, it's going to finish with this, man. Also, shout out to Sam Hewitt. Yeah, Sam. Just want to quickly mention Sam, and he when I first got into content, which was what 2 or 3 years ago, he was a guy that always I asked him for an interview, put his hand up. What do you want? How can I help? Always keen, and he actually would quote us on the radio and mention us and mention myself on there. He spoke to Ash. I know Ash spoke with him in one of their Run It Straight shows. And Sam, it's sad to see him go from Sports Nation. I hope there's something for him in the YouTube space. I'd love to see a show with Sam and someone, maybe a Blake or a Jello in some other fashion. I think he'd be a great host on a platform. Sam, come to Wise Up TV, man. I'll give you a spot. But no, he's a quality radio announcer, commentator, and a real good guy. That's what I'll say about Sam. Massive support for him, and wish him all the best, whatever it is he's doing in the next phase. I know he's got a young family. I think he's got a young family like me. So we know the toll it takes and the work, it's hard work to do those 4 a.m. wake ups and all that, whatever it is. But for him, I hope that, he does well. And I'll try get him on actually to get before the end of the season. I'd love to have him on here. You're breaking Sam here joins Rise Up TV, bro. That'd be gangster. I couldn't afford him though, but if he'd like to come for free, yeah, he can come and work for me. Nah, we love him, bro. We love he's big. He's bigger than this, but hence is Taylor May able to look at terms of recruitment? Was he set? He's probably set with the Tigers again. Taylor May would be great. That type of player. It's kind of that you got to fit into the culture of the team, isn't it? You got to fit into the lifestyle too. Look, New Zealand's a lot slower than the pace of a Sydney or Gold Coast or Brisbane, but it can work. Look at the likes of a Tanner Boyd, a Luke Metcalf. They're making it work with young families. So if you got the right mentality and you're coming for the right reasons, the Warriors will more than likely pick you up. And Webby gives you that call, and you match it with what he believes. And I think I've heard Cam George and Webby say, "Look, we talk to these guys, we get a feel for them. If their head's in the right place or their heart wants to come to the Warriors and for the right reasons, they usually sign them. And if they want to sign, so I think that was the likes of a Kate Well or any Aussie recruit. Even as far back as I know, Tane was heavily recruited by Webby. I think Webby gets a good feel when he gets that interview and goes from there. But for Taylor, does he want to come here and does he want to be part of this culture? I would love him because I think he's a great talent. But that's something that has to be first. You have to buy into that culture. You have to buy into what we believe in. And if that was the case, why not? For me personally, I know people will probably argue against his track record. And who knows what the ramifications of that are, but first you got to buy into the club culture, and then it goes from there. Yeah, quick luck, people. Thank you 74 for watching. It's been great having you guys in. Even people on the outside, we thank you. And if you do want to become a member, press that join button, and you can join in every Monday night to have these discussions one-on-one with me. As we discuss the wires and share views within the chat. Yeah, that's a bang on point, D Mackie. Hence Taylor on training trial. I did think about him before, but the May family is way too tight. Yeah, and that's another factor too. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, you never know. You never know, hence. You never know, hence. But I would like us to think about those types of things. I think KP and Webby are targeting our young guys in the New South Wales Cup. Yeah, that's the model they're going for. I don't think they're going anything for high. Look, not that the club has ever really recruited. I mean, Reece Walsh was one that was, well, you think of the talent, you know, getting a guy like that for, what was it, a year or two? I can't remember what it was, maybe a year. I think the club is looking for the safe bets. Like the Sam Healy is the one where they're banking on that to work. But you want some ready to go players sometimes. I love the development work we're doing, but it's moments like this you just want a ready to go player, an experienced NRL player they can guide this team, can be professional, they can just help through the moments where it gets a little bit tough. That's the kind of thing I want to see. And T-Maker, yeah, you're right. They don't want to pay the overs. I would like to see a young player in his prime, like a 24, 25-year-old. That would be great too. But I think the club are trying to move to that, definitely trying to stay in that model of develop players and recruit Aussie players now, like your Jet Clearys, like your Sam Healey's that have potential, but you just sometimes need that star player in that prime, in that moment. But yeah. Looking externally is important, but internally we need to convert some of our back rowers into centers. Melbourne have been very successful doing that. Sun Young, I got no argument with that either. There is a lot of talent coming through. That next wave, I'm really interested to see with Fatialofa wave, Siokali, then even the younger waves of that too. The Jet Clearys, Luke Hanson's, like what's the progress for them? But you need some talent like in the right now as well. That is important. And if the club's got the money to do it, you go into the market and get it. You know what I mean? The Storm are good at developing, but they're also good at recruiting. Like Itoi Kamanu, they got that done. They develop, of course, they develop, the Will Warbricks and those types, but they're still able to pay for a top tier spine, obviously that they've developed, but now it's like, it's on another level. But we just need to buy some pieces that can help for the next 2 years to bring some more experience. But anyway, I want to just leave that there, guys. Thank you for your time. It's been great chatting with everyone. We got 5 more weeks, guys, before finals, I think it is. So it's a long season, the NRL, isn't it? So it's an absolute grind, but we're here for it. We love it. Appreciate everyone's kōrero in the chat. And I'm hoping that, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. We'll check that team list. No doubt it's going to have some surprises too. Hopefully CHT and Egan come back in. That would be really good. Whether that moves to Mighty out, I'm not too sure, but we'll get a bit of idea of Dimitri, hopefully, of where he's at, Fish. But and prepare for the Bulldogs. I know it's going to be a tough one, but let's get the Bulldogs where we can and try and give it an honest crack. Because I know the NRL can be one of those comps, man. It's whoever prepares the best on their day, the way the ball falls. But thanks, guys, for your time. Please hit that like before you leave the door. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. here with me and Ash to break down the Bulldogs game and prepare for that. Yeah, pray for rain in Sydney. Hopefully keeps the wet weather footy. If that is like, what was that movie? Unbreakable. Remember that one? It's a shout out for Jose if he's in there. Unbreakable with Bruce Willis, where his weakness was, he was a strong man. I think he's almost like Superman, but he couldn't handle the rain. So maybe that's the Bulldogs are like Bruce Willis and Unbreakable. But anyway, stay safe, guys. We'll catch you later. Talk more tomorrow night, 8 p.m. here for All You Can Eat. We'll see you then. Up the wire as always. Stay safe. We're out.